I've ridden past a lot of houses. Thousands of them. Tens of thousands, maybe, if I'm being honest. When you're on a bike as much as I was, you start to see the world in patterns. The houses blur. The yards blur. The people blur. They become a film you're rolling through. Wallpaper, background noise, nothing that sticks. But then sometimes you get stuck on something. You can't explain why. There's no logical reason for it. You just can't let it go. There was this house. On Maple. About 3 miles from my usual loop through town. I didn't have a reason to ride that direction every day. No destination up there. No reason at all. But I just did. Started doing it without noticing I was doing it. Changed my route without thinking. 9 weeks by the time I really paid attention to the fact that I'd changed my route. 9 Tuesdays. That's when I started counting. Same time every Tuesday. Afternoon, maybe 3 o'clock, maybe a little after. I'd round the corner and there she was. Same house. Same woman. Had to be 85, 86. Silver hair, the real kind, not the kind you get from a salon. Cardigan that had probably been blue once, maybe even navy, but had faded to something closer to gray. She'd be there with this metal watering can. Heavy thing. The kind with the long spout. She'd walk out to this small garden bed on the side of the house, right under an old oak tree where the light came through dappled, and she'd pour water on dead flowers. I need to be clear about what I'm saying. These weren't dormant, weren't sleeping, weren't waiting for spring to come back. The stems were brown, hard. You could see they were brittle from 6 feet away. They'd snap if you touched them. The soil underneath was dry. Not just dry. Dead dry. Dry that hadn't seen water or moisture or anything living move through it in months. Maybe longer. The earth had that caked-on look, and every day, Tuesday after Tuesday, she'd walk out and she'd pour water on them anyway. Tuesday 1. I rode past. Saw her. Didn't think much about it. Could be anything. Could be she'd forgotten the flowers were dead. Happens to people. Tuesday 2. There she was again. Same cardigan. Same watering can. Same dead flowers. Okay, that's weird. Not emergency weird. Just odd. Tuesday 3. I started to pay attention. This wasn't random. This was ritual. This was something she did on purpose. This was someone watering dead flowers on purpose, which meant either she didn't understand they were dead, or she understood and was doing it anyway. Tuesday 4. I rode past, and she was kneeling down next to the garden bed. She was using her hands to clear away some dead leaves from around the soil. Her hands shook a little. She'd rest after every few moves, but she was tending to them. Genuinely tending. Tuesday 5. Rain that day. I thought maybe she wouldn't come out. She came out. The watering can hung at her side. She walked out to the garden anyway. Just stood there in the rain, in that cardigan that had gotten dark with water, and she stared at the flowers. She didn't water them. The rain was doing that job. But she was out there, present, witnessing. Tuesday 6. She had a different cardigan on. This one was brown. She had the same watering can. I noticed she moved slower that day, like her back was bothering her. She doubled over once, hand at her side, waiting for the pain to pass. Then she finished watering and went back inside. Tuesday 7. I almost didn't come that way. Got about a mile past the turn and thought about just not doing this, not adding this house to my route, not adding her to my mental map. Something about it was getting under my skin. Some old instinct was saying, don't get involved, Dutch. Don't stop. Don't ask questions. Keep riding. But I turned around, rode back. She was there. Third time I'd seen her do this, and I still didn't understand. How does a person keep doing something that broken? Tuesday, 8. I pulled over, Sat on the bike and watched her for maybe 5 minutes. Just watched. She didn't notice me. She was concentrated on what she was doing. Focused. Like watering dead flowers was the most important thing happening anywhere in the world. Like if she stopped, something critical would break. I didn't approach her that day. Just watched. Tried to understand. My jaw was clenched so tight, my back teeth ached. The 9th Tuesday. I pulled over and I couldn't get back on the bike. Something in my chest had decided. This wasn't random anymore. This wasn't just a weird thing I was passing. This was something that needed noticing. And I was the person who'd stopped to notice it. I killed the engine. The quiet was strange. No exhaust. No road noise. Just the sound of wind in the tree branches and her voice humming something low. I didn't have any words prepared. I don't do social comfort well. I'm not equipped for it. I'm a man who rode alone for 18-20 hours at a stretch because talking to other people is harder than silence. It's harder than solitude. It's harder than the constant motion of roads that never end. I'd spent my whole life learning how to be alone so good that it felt like a superpower. And now I was about to voluntarily walk into a conversation I had no framework for. She saw me coming. I saw her notice. A big man. Leather. Mid-60s. On a residential street. I could watch her decision tree happening in real time. Threat or not threat. Safe or not safe. This isn't a conversation she'd wanted to have. I kept my hands where she could see them. Ma'am. I stopped about 4 feet away. Not too close. Space to move. Space to retreat if she needed it. I don't mean to bother you. I ride past here pretty regular. Been riding past here for a couple months now. I noticed your flowers. She looked at the brown stems in her hands like she was surprised to see them there. Then she looked at me. That's when I saw her face fully. And I realized she was old in a way that goes deeper than the number of years. Her skin had that thin quality. Papery. Like it had been worn through by time and weather, and something else too. Something internal. Her eyes had something behind them that looked exhausted in a way that made me understand she'd been wearing this load for a long time. They're resting, she said. Not dead, not gone, not in the past tense. Resting. That's how she saw it. How long have they been resting? I asked. She set down the watering can real careful, like it was something fragile. Her hands shook, slight tremor. The kind that comes with age or with effort, or with both at once. Since my husband passed, she said. 3 years ago this September. 3 years the 16th. 3 years. She'd been watering dead flowers for 3 years. Every Tuesday. Maybe more than Tuesdays. Maybe every day. I suddenly wasn't sure. I'd only been watching 9 of those Tuesdays. What's your name? Iris. Just like that. No hesitation, no caution. She answered, I'm Dutch, and I was wondering, could I come back next Tuesday, just to check in? Nothing weird, just to check in. She nodded. Didn't seem excited about it. Didn't seem opposed either. Just nodded, like she was agreeing to something that was happening whether she wanted it or not. The next Tuesday I brought coffee. Black, no sugar. Seemed right for her. Something about her suggested she didn't want anything sweet. Life had probably had enough sweetness in it. Coffee should be what it was supposed to be. We sat on her porch. She didn't want me inside. She made that clear without using words. The way she positioned herself in the doorway. The way her hand stayed on the doorframe like she might need to lock me out. Like I might try to push my way in and she needed to be ready. I respected that. I sat in the chair she gestured to and I waited. Gerald planted those roses, she told me. Not asked. Told. Like it was something I needed to know. 12 years ago. Went down to the nursery himself. Did the whole thing. Dug the holes. Got his hands dirty. They were beautiful that first year. Red. So red they looked like they weren't real, like he'd painted them. What happened to them? I asked. I forgot. She said it flat, no blame in her voice, just fact. After he died, I just forgot. Forgot what they needed. Forgot that flowers need things. I missed a whole season of care. And then it got cold. And then they were gone. So you're watering them to try to bring them back? No. She took a sip of the coffee, let it sit in her mouth for a moment. No, they're dead. I know they're dead. I'm watering them because if I stop watering them, then he's really gone. Everything he planted is really over. Everything he touched with his hands, everything he cared about, it's just finished. And I'm not ready for that. Maybe I'll never be ready. We sat there for a while without talking. The coffee got cold. She didn't finish it. Can I come back? I asked. If you want to. I want to. The next week I came back, Tuesday again. I brought groceries this time. Stuff I'd noticed she didn't have. Real food, chicken, vegetables, things that could keep her alive. She accepted them the way old people do when they're too tired to argue. Politely, with some gentle resistance, but accepting. You don't have to do this, she said. I know I don't. She didn't ask why then. Maybe she already knew. Maybe she didn't want to know. Week 3, I brought cat food. I'd seen the strays around her property. She had maybe 4 of them. Skinny, ribs showing. She nodded at me when she saw what it was, and I knew she understood. These were creatures who mattered to her. These were things she could still care for. Week 4, I finally asked it. Can I see inside? I could see the hesitation cross her face. Saw her want to say no. The word was right there. I could see it forming. But loneliness is a powerful thing. And she'd been lonely long enough that saying no to a person who kept showing up was harder than opening the door. The front of the house was perfect, immaculate, museum perfect. It was like stepping into someone's idea of how a house should look, an idea that came from television and magazines, furniture covered in plastic. The kind of plastic that was supposed to protect, but instead made everything look temporary, like she was waiting for guests that were never going to come. Doilies on every surface, on the side tables, on the armrests of the couch, everything exactly where it should be, nothing out of place. This was what she showed the world. This was the version of herself she kept up. This was her armor. But behind those perfect front rooms, the kitchen was barely functioning. The refrigerator hummed wrong sound, like something was dying inside it. The stove had grease buildup on the top that had been there so long it was brown. Baked on. The cupboards had maybe 4 cans of food. 4. Everything else was empty space. Dark, empty shelf space. The sink had dishes in it from days ago. Not weeks. Days. But enough that I could see the pattern. She wasn't cooking much anymore. She wasn't eating much. The bedroom was worse. She slept on the edge of a queen mattress. On the very edge. The other side was still made up. Still made up. Blanket pulled tight. His pillow still at the head. His book on the nightstand. Still open. Still on the same page. His reading glasses on top of the book. His robe hanging on the back of the closet door. Everything waiting. Everything patient. Everything empty. The bathroom had mold in the corner. Soft tiles, growing. The shower head didn't work right. When she turned on the water to show me, it came out brown for a few seconds. Orange-brown like rust. She just waited for it to clear, then turned it off. Like that was normal, like everyone lived like that. The back hallway had stacks of mail, unopened, months of it, maybe longer. I could see some of the dates, bills, notices, letters with her name on them in official lettering. She'd shoved them into a pile and left them there. Just left them. Like if she didn't look at them, they wouldn't require dealing with. Like ignoring them meant they weren't real. "Iris," I said, "the property taxes. Are you behind on them?" She didn't want to answer. I could see the resistance. But she was tired. She was so tired. "Yes," she said finally. "How far behind?" $2,400. She said it like it was $1 million. To her, it might as well have been. It was the difference between the house she had and no house at all. I called Marcus that night. Marcus is the president of the club, has been for 15 years, 6'4", covered in road ink, chest like a barrel, voice that sounds like gravel and smoke. He doesn't ask a lot of questions if he doesn't need to. "I got someone who needs help," I told him. "Real help, not the one-time kind. The kind that's going to take a Saturday and probably some money." "How bad?" he asked. "Bad enough that she's been eating spoiled food because she doesn't replace groceries. Bad enough that the water heater hasn't been serviced in a decade. Bad enough that she's got unpaid property taxes, and she's going to lose the house if we don't figure something out." "She alone?" "Yeah, husband passed. 3 years. She's been holding on to his room like a shrine." Marcus didn't say anything for a minute. I could hear him breathing, making calculations. "Saturday? Saturday. How many we need?" 8 or 9. Roof, interior, garden's gonna need work. I'll call around." He hung up. When I warned Iris, she panicked. "You don't have to do this," she said. She was standing in her doorway, and she looked scared, genuinely scared. "I don't want anyone here. I don't want people in my house looking at my things." "It's happening," I told her. "And you're gonna let us, because I've been noticing something, and you need to understand that people noticing you is not a bad thing. That's the whole thing you've been missing. Someone noticing, someone stopping. That's everything." Saturday morning came cold. We got there before 8. 9 bikes came down Maple Street. 9 men got off them. Marcus was there. Rick and Tommy. Salvador. Jimmy. Pete. Daniel. Robert. And Kyle, who was the youngest of us. Maybe 45. We came in leather. We looked like exactly what she probably feared. But we were what she needed. Marcus knocked on her door. When she opened it, there was this moment where everything could have gone wrong, where she could have called the police, where she could have tried to send us away, where fear could have overridden everything else. But Marcus smiled, just smiled, and he said, "We're Dutch's Club. We're here to fix your house. You got coffee?" She did. There was coffee on the stove, a whole pot, like she'd been preparing for something without knowing what. We split up. Marcus took the roof. I could hear them up there. Footsteps, scraping sounds, the sound of old shingles being pulled off. Tommy and Rick moved in with me on the kitchen. Daniel took the bathroom. Pete and Robert and Sally took the living room and the bedroom. Kyle did the yard assessment. We worked clean. No wasted motion. No talking more than necessary. This is what men learn when they've spent most of their lives working with their hands. You understand efficiency. You understand purpose. You understand work that doesn't need conversation. Work that means something without words. I found Salvador in the kitchen, looking at the refrigerator like it was a riddle he needed to solve. "This thing's older than some of my bikes," he said. "Can we fix it?" "Fix it? Dutch, we gotta replace the whole thing." He paused. He didn't want to ask the question. "That gonna be a problem?" "Go to the store," I said. "Get whatever you need. A new refrigerator. Fill it with food. I'll pay for it." "That's not—" "Go to the store," I said again. Iris kept appearing in doorways, like she couldn't help it, asking if we needed anything, if we wanted more coffee, if we were okay. We kept telling her to sit. She couldn't sit. Sitting was admitting she couldn't do something. She had to feel useful somehow. So we let her bring us coffee. We let her appear in doorways and watch us work. It was part of what she needed. The kitchen started changing around her. The sink got fixed. The stove got cleaned. Hours of cleaning off that buildup. Then a new refrigerator got delivered and installed. A good one. Not fancy, but good. We filled it with food, real food, chicken, vegetables, milk, eggs, bread, things that could keep a human being alive, not just existing. Alive. By 2 o'clock, the house was different. Roof sealed, water heater serviced and running quiet, mold treatment going on in the bathroom, windows opened, air moving through rooms that hadn't had air move through them in months, light coming in at angles that showed just how much dust had been living there. That's when I went outside to the garden. Tommy and Rick were waiting for me there. I'd asked them earlier in the week, knew they'd understand what needed doing, knew they wouldn't make it weird. We cleared it. All of it. Every brown stem. Every root. Every reminder of something that had failed. We pulled roots that had been in the ground so long they didn't want to come out. Took 3 of us working together to get some of them free. The soil underneath was dead, depleted. It had nothing left to give. We brought in new soil. Fresh, dark, real. Soil that could grow something. We planted 4 new rose plants, small ones, green, alive. Alive in a way those brown sticks would never be again. We spaced them right, gave them room to grow. This wasn't about quick results. This was about something that could last. Iris came out when we were finishing. She just stopped, stood at the edge of the porch, didn't come closer, didn't speak, just looked at what used to be dead and was now something else entirely. Gerald's roses are gone, I told her. They had a good run. 12 years is something. That's a long time to grow something. But they're done now. They had their time. So we got something new. Living roses. Green ones. You're gonna have to water these ones and mean it. Not watering ghosts. Watering something that's actually going to need you. She walked out into the garden slow. Really slow. Like each step took effort. Like she was crossing into something dangerous. She knelt down in the dirt. An 86-year-old woman kneeling in soil. Kneeling in dirt. Getting her hands dirty. Touching something alive for maybe the first time in 3 years. I can do that, she said to no one. To all of us. To herself. You're already doing it, Marcus said from behind me. By 6 o'clock, we were gone. All of us. Packed up. Bikes parked in a line at the curb. We'd given her a list of the things we'd done. The contractors we'd called for the taxes. The phone numbers. We'd given her our numbers too. All of us. She had 9 bikers' phone numbers in a stack on her kitchen counter. She stood at the door and she cried. Not dramatic, just tears. Just standing there while her house became something different than it had been an hour before. Marcus put a hand on her shoulder. That was it. Just his hand. Just for a second. Then we left. 3 weeks later, I came back. Rode that route on a Tuesday like I'd been riding it all along. The roses had taken. Green leaves pushing out. Real leaves. Living leaves. The house was cleaner. Paint still peeling but cleaner. The roof was secure. Everything we'd fixed was still fixed. But Iris looked worse. Older. Like something had shifted inside her. Like the effort of letting people help had cost her something. You okay? I asked her. Heart's acting up, she said. I'm going to the doctor. That landed heavy. Gerald died of a heart attack. She'd told me that. 8 months after his retirement, right when they were supposed to be living. What kind of acting up? Skipping beats, doing this flutter thing. They want to run tests. She was scared. I could hear it. But she was also matter of fact. Like bad things were just the natural order of things at her age. She had to have surgery. Minor. That's what they said. Just some preventive maintenance. She was terrified anyway. Marcus came by the night before. I came by. Pete came by. Sally brought lasagna. We didn't talk about the surgery much. Didn't make any big promises. We just sat in her living room while she talked about Gerald, about their wedding day, how hot it was, how she almost fainted, about how he cried when their daughter was born, about how he sang off key in the shower and she'd complained about it for 30 years, and now she'd give anything to hear it again. We listened. That was the thing. That was enough. The surgery was 8 weeks after we met her. The recovery was slow. She was weak. Weak like she'd never been weak before. But she pushed through it. And something shifted during those weeks. I could see it in her eyes when I came by. She'd tasted what it meant to have people, and she wasn't going back to being alone. The roses bloomed right when she got home, right when she could stand in the garden again. Red roses. Impossible red. The kind Gerald would have loved. She started watering them the right way, not trying to resurrect the dead, not holding on to ghosts, just caring for something that needed her. Something real. Something alive. Week 16, I came by on a Tuesday. She was in the yard, not watering, just sitting there on an old wooden chair we'd found in her garage and fixed, sitting and staring at the roses. "They're beautiful," I said. "They are," she agreed. I didn't think I could do this. I didn't think I could care for something again. But they made it. They survived. So I guess I could too. "That's exactly right," I told her. Week 20, she opened Gerald's room. Just opened the door. Didn't clean it, didn't pack it up, didn't change anything. Just opened it and sat in the doorway. She told me about it the next Tuesday. How his book was still open on the nightstand. How his glasses were still there. How his robe was still on the back of the closet door. And she'd sat there, in the doorway. And she realized she didn't have to keep it exactly like this, that he wouldn't want it like this, that she could let him rest without letting the house be a tomb. "Did you pack anything up?" I asked her. "Not yet, but I closed the door, not like I was shutting him out, just closing the door, like acceptance, you know?" I knew. Week 24, Marcus and me came by with something new. Something we'd planned. More marigolds. Bright orange ones. Not the same as Gerald's roses. Different. Alive. New. Flowers that don't require the whole history. That don't carry the weight. We planted them together. The three of us. Me, Marcus, and Iris. Her hands in the dirt. Her back bent. Her breathing getting tired. But her doing it herself. She watched from the porch when we were finishing. "Gerald would have hated those," she said. "He was a roses man. Very classical, very traditional. He thought marigolds were too common, too bright." "You like them?" I asked her. She was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "I like them." That was the moment. Not the tears. Not the big emotional release. Not the breakthrough that makes you feel like everything's fixed. Just an 86-year-old woman standing on her own porch, looking at flowers she'd chosen, and saying she liked them. That was the whole story right there. Her daughter came to visit in week 28. First time since we'd started. She'd driven in from somewhere. Colorado, maybe. She and Iris sat on that same porch, and they talked for hours. The daughter cried. Iris was embarrassed about the crying. The daughter stayed for 3 days, helped her go through some of Gerald's things. Not all of them. Not the important stuff. The stuff that mattered to Iris's heart. But enough to make space. Enough to let some light in. I ran into the daughter on the porch the morning she was leaving. She was waiting for her car to get loaded. "Thank you," she said. "For stopping. for noticing her. That's what you do, I told her. Not everyone does. No, not everyone does. She's better. I don't know how long she's been alone, but she's better. I can see it in her face. The house is clean. She's eating. She's talking about the future. She's talking about maybe traveling next summer. My mother, talking about travel, like she thinks she has a future. I didn't say anything, but I understood what she meant. You can see people die while they're still breathing. You can watch them give up. And then sometimes you watch them decide to live. It's quiet when it happens. It's not big, but it's everything. Will you keep stopping? The daughter asked. Yeah, we will. Even though she's better? I had to think about that, because better isn't fixed. Better is just better. Better is still carrying the grief. Better is still sleeping on the edge of a bed. Better is still remembering everything you lost. But better is also standing in a garden and liking something. Better is talking about the future. Even though she's better, I said. A home health aide started coming twice a week in week 32. Iris didn't like her at first. Too cheerful. Too much energy. Too alive in a way Iris wasn't quite ready for. But the aide caught an infection early that could have hospitalized her. That aide was the difference between Iris being here and Iris being somewhere else. Being gone. By week 36, Iris was different. I want to be clear about something, though. Not fixed. Don't misunderstand what I'm saying. The grief was still there. The loss was still real. The empty space where Gerald was supposed to be, it wasn't going anywhere. It'd always be there. But she was eating better. She was opening her door. She was standing in her garden and talking to roses like they were people too. Like they mattered. Like she mattered. She's still standing there. I'm saying that from where I sit now. A year later, year and a half, the roses bloom every season. Red ones and orange marigolds. Mixed. Together. Different kinds of growth. I ride past her house every Tuesday still. Don't skip it. Don't get lazy about it. Tuesday is her day. Tuesday is when I stop. Sometimes she's there. Sometimes she isn't. When she is there, sometimes we talk. Sometimes we just nod. Sometimes I just watch her water those flowers and know that it means something different now. It means she's alive. It means she's here. The house got new paint, new gutters. She had someone build new porch steps when Gerald's finally gave out. She had them built following his original design, from memory. She'd remembered the way he drew it all those years ago. She had someone carve his initials in the wood. G.H. something. She never told me his last name. I don't think she needed to. People ask me about this, what it means. What's the lesson? What did I learn? And I'm always honest about it. I don't know if there is a lesson. Maybe the lesson is just that we're all out here doing something desperate to hold on to people we've lost. We're all watering something. We're all waiting for something to come back. We're all holding on to something that's already gone, and we're doing it alone most of the time. But some of us get lucky. Some of us get someone who stops, someone who notices, someone who doesn't look away and keep driving. The thing about noticing is it's half the work. Just seeing someone. Actually looking. Not walking past. Not ignoring. Understanding that when someone repeats the same ritual every single day, it means something. It's not laziness. It's not a mistake. It's not forgetting how to let go. It's holding on so hard you don't know how to do anything else. It's the opposite of forgetting. It's remembering so much it's become your whole life. And then there's the other half, the part where you don't just notice, the part where you show up, again and again, Tuesday after Tuesday, even when there's not anything to fix, even when the problem is too big to solve, when it's too big and too heavy and too much for one person. You show up anyway. We stopped because that's what you do when someone's drowning. But not just the stopping, the coming back. For months. For years, maybe. You show up on Tuesdays. You bring groceries. You fix roofs. You sit with someone while they're terrified about surgery. You watch them put their hands in dirt and learn how to live again. You watch them learn to want something. You watch them become a person again instead of just being a person who's still breathing. The flowers are alive now. That's something. That's not everything. But it's something. And I notice her every Tuesday when I ride past. I notice that she's alive. I notice that she's better. I notice that she's here. And every time I ride past that house and see those red roses mixed with those bright orange marigolds, I remember that sometimes the smallest gesture of noticing someone, that's not nothing. That changes things, changes them completely, doesn't fix them, but it gives them permission to fix themselves. It says that their life matters, that their grief matters, that they matter. Iris is watering living flowers now. Not dead things, not ghosts, living flowers. And that's as close to a happy ending as this story gets, because the real ending isn't the flowers. The real ending isn't the fixed house or the surgery that went okay, or the daughter coming back. The real ending is that she didn't water them alone. She's not watering them alone. She's never going to be alone again because someone noticed, someone stopped, and someone kept stopping. And she's still here.